to today's video. This is a very special and probably the most personal video I've ever made. But while journaling last night, I started to reflect on my life so far. So tomorrow is my birthday, January 19th. I'm gonna turn 24. It's probably the day that you're gonna see this video. And it honestly just got me thinking about the things that I have learned in life so far. I feel like life has gone in various directions for me. My life is not what I would have ever imagined it, but I'm way happier than I would have ever imagined. So I figured for today, for my birthday video, I would make a video about 24 life lessons that I learned before my 24th birthday. So I wrote them all down in my notebook. As said, this is a very personal video, so grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and I hope that these are maybe some things that'll help you in your life, because even though I truly believe that you have to make your own experiences to know who you are and what you want in life, I feel like sometimes a little bit of life advice or learning from others' lessons can be helpful too. So the first thing that I immediately thought about when thinking about things I've learned in life so far is that probably the most important life lesson that I had to learn was to always stay true to who you are. So let me start by saying that I, as a kid, was very confident. I was never one of like the cool kids, but I always had friends. Like I was always doing good, being myself. I had weird interests as a kid. I was very into like music that no one liked. I was into dancing, theatrical things. I wasn't really into sports that much other than just dancing and theater. My mom would take me to the thrift store, which I was embarrassed about at the time. But my mom was really keen on living a sustainable life, so that's why she took me. And I feel like as a kid, I loved this life that I was living. But as I entered high school, I kind of had a tough time figuring out who I was and how to fit in. I went to like a private Catholic girls' school. There were some great people there, but there were also like a lot of very rich people and like a lot of people who just had a very different life to me. And in the beginning, I had a hard time finding my spot, and I tried to adapt, I tried to fit in. And even though they maybe like recognized me more then, I felt that I was losing myself. And even as a young child back then, like the school system here is different. I feel like I started that school when I was 11, and even that young, I had this really clear moment where it was like, I'm losing myself here and I cannot let this happen. And over the years, I have completely stopped trying to fit in. I do what I like, I do what I love, I don't care what others think. It's hard sometimes, and sometimes comments or words that others say get to me and it hurts. But most of the times I feel like I am at a point with myself where being true to myself is my number one priority in life, and I will once a week, once a month, depending on how my life is going at that time, I will reflect and just ask myself, am I doing what I want to do with my life? Am I staying true to myself? And I feel like that's a very important life lesson. The second one that I had to learn the hard way is that it is okay not to be okay. After finishing school, I went working right away. I had a great job in the movie industry. I got to travel a lot and experience a lot, and my mental health declined rapidly. I was struggling with anorexia, bulimia, depression. I had PTSD. I just got to a place where I was so horrible, and I had to admit to myself that the only thing that you can do in a situation like this is to just understand that you're not okay and accept that. And I feel like the number one thing you have to do is to say to yourself, it's okay. In this moment, it is okay for me not to be okay. And I remember that the moment that I understood that and I could accept that it is okay not to be okay, I was able to reach out for help. And even now, I am almost 1 year without like any relapses, really well recovered. I still have days where I don't feel good, And I feel like a couple of years ago, I would have beat myself up for that. But now I'm just being very gentle with myself and telling myself that it is okay not to be okay today. And tomorrow is going to be another day, another chance. I feel like this next one is gonna sound so cliche, but live in the here and now. There was a time in my life where I had a really hard time admiring moments and just being present in the moment, because I was always going on in my head about what had happened, what was going to happen tomorrow. I was constantly trying to plan everything, and I was just a person who had a really hard time of letting go and living in the moment. And now I try to clear my mind before it even gets that far. So say I'm going out with friends and I feel like this wave is hitting me about I did this yesterday and I shouldn't have done that and I need to get this done tomorrow, where I just close my eyes, I take a deep breath and I tell myself, yesterday is gone, tomorrow is tomorrow, just be present right now. And I feel like for me personally, that's the number one tip to live life your fullest. The fourth thing on my list is that growing can be painful, but there is a beauty beyond that pain, and it is most definitely worth it. I feel like sometimes I cry an entire night because I feel like everything is changing so fast and I feel so overwhelmed with everything that is going down in my life, and it is really overwhelming, even though these are all things that I'm really happy about. But I feel like that's a classic growing pain. And I feel like with a lot of things, it's kind of like that. I have moments where I think back to who I was 2 years ago and I miss that person, but I know I grew so much and I know I wouldn't be who I am today if I wouldn't have been the person that I was 2 years ago. And growing can be really painful because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of dedication, but I feel like it is so worth it, because even though growing for me meant going through a lot of pain and figuring a lot of things out that had gone wrong in my life previously, going through that pain helped me heal. I have quite a few life lessons that I learned from songs, and this next one is probably the one that is the closest to my heart, and it comes from The Who, one of my favorite bands. In their song Baba O'Reilly, they say, "I don't have to fight to prove I'm right. I don't need to be forgiven." And these lines are so meaningful and powerful to me personally. For a long time, I always tried to get everyone to understand my perspective. I tried to tell everyone that with this and that I was right, and that people should understand that I was right, and that I need to prove things to others. And now I'm at a point where I feel like me, don't like me, I don't care. Either you are a person who tries to understand me, and then I really admire you, but if you don't, I don't have to fight for that. I don't have to fight to be your friend. I don't have to fight to be around you. I don't have to fight to get you to like me. I don't. I don't have to prove that I'm right. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. And the same way is that I don't have to be forgiven. I am a person, I always apologize to everyone. I think it's important. And I think it is really beautiful if someone forgives you. But I don't need that for myself. And I especially do not need to be forgiven for who I am. The next one kind of comes back to the first point, which is a big life lesson for me, and that is, don't try to fit in. Don't waste your time doing that. Even though I am very confident with myself and who I am, and I feel like I have a pretty clear picture of who I am, I still have moments where I find myself saying things, doing things to try to fit in. And I try so hard not to do that anymore. I feel like there are always key moments with this, and one of them was like a couple of years ago on New Year's Eve. I was still living in Berlin. I had some great roommates at the time, and we kind of like got together for New Year's, had a beautiful evening, and then everyone wanted to go to the club. And I don't like the club, especially Berlin clubs. It's only techno music That's just not for me. However, I didn't want it to be the one who was left behind, and so I went with them. And I hated every second of it. And I left after an hour and took a cab home. And I remember thinking that I could have had this beautiful New Year's Eve if I would have just tried not to fit in. And I feel like, especially for me, being someone who recently moved to a new town, not knowing anyone here, I kind of like left everyone behind. And I of course still am in touch with the people back home, but I didn't really knew anyone here. And so I kind of like started to get to know new people, especially because my boyfriend has kind of lived in the area his whole life. And I remember that in the beginning I was really trying to fit in, even though a lot of people just we don't share interests or anything. And I stopped doing that, and I have made wonderful friendships. I have met incredible people, and I am just so thankful for not having that deep fear of having to fit in, because I know that I dress differently. I know that I like things that aren't like popular right now. I know that I cannot really talk about a lot of trends or music that is on trend because I just simply don't care about it. But I'm just myself, and I find that wherever I go, there are other people who don't try to fit in, and they're just their true self. And I feel like there's nothing more appealing in a person than if they're revealing their true self to you. It's okay to not have everything figured out. This is a hard lesson for me, a painful life lesson, to be honest, because I had a very clear picture in my head of what I wanted my life to look like. And because of different reasons, it looks nothing like that right now. And as said in the beginning, I am so much happier now than I would have ever imagined being. But when I decided I wanted to quit the film industry, I had no idea what to do with my life. And I felt so incredibly insecure, not knowing what to do, not having a life plan anymore, and just trusting in myself that I will find a way was really hard. And I wish I had more confidence back then, because it cost me a lot of pain, even though it all turned out perfectly fine. Number 8, people may never be what you expect them to be. It is something that you should reflect upon often. I reflect on friendships, I reflect on people that I know, and I had a very painful experience a few years ago where I cut someone out of my life that I really liked, but I just couldn't be with that person anymore because it was so painful. And I feel like that person wasn't what I wanted them to be, what I saw in them, what I expected them to be, and I just had to leave that person in their own space, and it was really painful. But I feel like it all worked out for the best, because it cost me so much energy and it felt really draining, and I tried to take care of myself, and I did that in that situation. And even though it was really painful, because I expected them just to be someone else from what they told me, but in the end I'm really glad that I did. And I feel like with that also goes that you never know what someone is currently struggling with, and you never know how hard someone might be affected by something. I have definitely been in situations where I was with a group of people and they started to talk about someone we all knew but wasn't present, and they were like, oh yeah, this and that person hasn't shown up in weeks just because their dog died, and I don't understand that, because when my dog died I was feeling perfectly fine. And I remember being like, you don't know what this person is going through. Just because this didn't hit you hard doesn't mean that it didn't hit someone else hard. So I feel like it's important to check on your friends and just be really open and honest if someone tells you that they're struggling with something, even though your first impression might be that it's not that bad. But I think it's important to know that other people are valid, and if someone is struggling with something really badly and it might not be a big deal to anyone else, that doesn't mean that they are struggling any less. This next one is a beautiful life lesson I got to learn that just warmed my heart and overwhelmed me, and that is that you should never give up on your family and friends. There were a couple of years in my life right after I turned 18 where I didn't really talk to my mom. We hadn't been in contact. We kind of like talked, sometimes maybe saw each other once a year, and we drifted off really far away from each other. All of that had different reasons, from my childhood to her childhood to like a lot of things that went down, and it was really painful for me all along. But this year, it didn't even start that long ago. I feel like starting in late summer, early fall, my mom made a huge commitment and step into fixing our relationship, and I did too. And I have healed so much from that, and so has she, and I'm so grateful that I didn't give up on that, because even though at times I kind of did and we weren't talking, and I felt like I really would have needed someone, like a parent, to be there in that situation, I couldn't, because there was just so much standing between us. But I am so glad, thankful, and grateful that we fixed our relationship, because the way that we treat each other now and the relationship we formed is so beautiful, and I wouldn't have wanted to miss that for anything in the world. The next one also comes from a song. This one is by the Rolling Stones. It's called I'm Free, and the line that really touches me is, I'm free to do what I want. This line has my whole heart, because I have spent a lot of time, like growing up in my early 20s, having this idea that I needed to be what others wanted me to be, or I needed to do what others wanted me to do. And I still get into these situations, and then I'm always telling myself, I'm free to do what I want. I went a really non-traditional way in Germany, because most people in Germany, after finishing school with like the finishing degree that I have, they go to university straight away. They go and study, or they go and just like learn a job. In Germany, basically, it's really hard if you've never gotten trained to have a job. So you like need certain certificates to work a lot of jobs. And I never did that. I started in the movie industry, interned so much. I had so many internships for years. I finally got a job as an assistant. I worked as a prop assistant, and then I got to be a prop master and had great experiences, but I don't have any certificates. Like I can be like of course I can prove that I did that work, but I don't have a certificate. I'm not like a certified prop master. You can't really do that in the movie industry. There aren't any certificates, but I did not go to university, and in fall I kind of figured that I should get a degree in something, and so I went back to school. But because of the way that like it's partnered, like the program that I was doing was partnered with a job, and they couldn't have me at that job because they classified it a high risk for someone being pregnant, and so I had to quit. And now I am just doing this, doing what I love, and I don't know if I will go back to school, go to university, get a degree in anything. I don't know, but if I will certainly not do it because anyone else thinks that I should. This next one is something that I still struggle with, but it's also a very valid and important life lesson, and that is that comparison kills you. And I mean it that drastically. I remember when I found the vintage community online, I was already doing like the makeup, the 60s makeup, the 60s hair, the 60s style. And so even though I was really confident with myself and the style and started to post a little more, I feel like in the beginning I had a really hard time not comparing myself constantly to others, to other creators, to other people. And I still do, and I still have a hard time, not even online that much anymore. I feel like I've really gotten a lot more confident just being myself online and doing what I like to do. But in life in general, I'm definitely a perfectionist. I need to be really good at things, or it's very unsettling for me a lot of the times. So comparing myself to others slowly kills me. And I know That sounds so drastic, but I truly think so, because I believe you can never valid or be proud of yourself if you're always comparing yourself to others. Because let's be honest, there's probably always someone who is better at things. Like, you are the best at being yourself, but let's say you want to be a musician. You're probably not going to be as popular as the Beatles were. Or you have your own small business, and even though it's actually going great, you cannot admire that because you know that other people sell more, do more. You feel like other people have more friends, have more this and that, and you're constantly comparing yourself. And I feel like it leads down this spiral of forgetting what you really want and what is important to you. And so you might start wanting things that you don't really want just because you compare yourself to others and you see what they have. So saying that I don't compare myself anymore would be too much, but I try. I try every day. I try not to compare myself to other people I know, to other people I see online, to what other people are doing, because I am myself. And no one is going to be as good as I am at being myself. And so I feel like being my own true self, the individual that I want to be, is more important and so much more settling than just comparing myself over and over again. And another big bonus is that if you will measure yourself by your own goals and not by what others are doing, you will get so much happier because you will realize how good you truly are. The next one is that it is okay to ask for help. I was never good at asking for help. I was raised in a very self-relying way, and basically for a long time in my life I thought that I can never ask anyone for help, and I always thought that asking for help meant that you would admit that you're weak and that you weren't able to get out of whatever situation yourself. And I always figured that that was something negative. And only through realizing and seeing other people ask for help, I understood how wonderful it is to be open to the idea of help, and also to just admit that maybe you're in a situation right now that you cannot get out yourself. For me, my eating disorder, my mental health got to a point where I knew I couldn't get out of here myself. I knew I needed help. I needed to see someone who knew how to deal with anorexia, or I was going to die. And basically asking for help, I know, takes so much out of you. Like, I still have a hard time asking others for help. I have moved so many times. I have done so many moves on my own. And when I moved here, I was actually not able to help pretty much at all because I was pregnant and you're not supposed to carry like anything heavy. And so I needed to ask for a lot of help. And basically my boyfriend and his dad just pulled through doing kind of pretty much all of it. And I was so thankful for all the help and everything. And it was so much more relaxing for me. And it wasn't that hard for them because they're just stronger than me. And so I feel like asking for help is okay. It is good. Other people always have another perspective. I find myself asking for help if I don't know what to do, if I don't know where to go, and I will still make my own decision. But asking for help doesn't mean you're a failure. Asking for help makes you stronger. Number 13, trust the universe. You can't plan life. I kind of want to let this stand on its own because I feel like I've already talked about how I was like planning my life and it didn't work on its own. I'm just gonna say one more thing about this, and that is that the most amazing things that have happened in my life so far were all unplanned. All the things that I go to bed at night thinking how grateful I am for my life, the things that make my life so incredibly wonderful right now, were all unplanned. I never planned to be a creator online, and I never planned to be a mom in my early to mid 20s. I never planned to move to this little town, and all of these things are so freaking amazing, and all of these things I am so grateful for, and that's why I truly believe that the universe has a bigger plan for you and you just have to trust it. Number 14, if it feels weird, there is something wrong. always trust your gut. I am a very emotional, gut trusting person. I'm not very rational with my decisions, and I feel like I have a feeling of when things are good and when they aren't, but sometimes it's hard for me to listen to that because I feel like rationally I should be doing something else. But just know that you should always trust yourself. You have all the answers you need within you. And if you trust yourself, I feel like these are decisions that you truly stand behind. And you are probably the person that knows what's best for you the most. So trust yourself and don't let anyone talk you into doing anything you don't want to do if your gut says it's wrong. Trust it. That's why I have this tattoo right here. The left side is the heart side. It's a heart with a seeing eye, and it's just that I want to see with my heart. I want to feel with my heart. I want to live through my life with trusting my heart and my gut and myself. Coming from another song, this time by Fleetwood Mac, my next life lesson is that you can go your own way. And by that, I just mean that it is okay to change your life goals. It's okay to change your dreams. You can do whatever you want. This is your life. I had this lifelong dream of being in the movie industry, of being a director, and it didn't work out. I mean, I got a job as a prop master in the film industry. It was great. I also applied to a couple of universities to become a director, but I was treated with a lot of sexism. I had professors straight up tell me that they liked the movie that I made, but they don't want women in their department. I was told by people that I was too young at 19, that I don't have anything to talk about in life, that no one wants to see my movies, and it overall always circled back to me being a girl and not fitting into this industry, and it broke me. But I still held on to that dream until I realized that working in the movie industry, in whichever job, was probably never going to make me happy, because one thing about the movie industry is you will work up to 16 hours a day, every single day, stay in hotels, never be home, and you cannot have a private life or any other interests out of that. And now I have this wonderful job where I just make videos, make content, talk about things that I love, and it's so much more freeing and so much more wonderful. But it was so hard to admit to myself that my lifelong dream of being a director wasn't there anymore, that I changed. And a lot of people asked me about it and talked about it, and it was really painful for me at the beginning. But going through that pain, as said earlier, growing through it made me so much stronger and happier. I have another life lesson by The Who, and that is see me, feel me, touch me, heal me. This is also from Tommy, a line. And especially the heal me part is so important, because in the past couple of years I learned that healing your inner child, healing your trauma will change your life so much, and it'll make your life so much better. And I put a lot of time and energy into my healing process and taking time for that and just crying and letting it all out and reflecting on things. But healing is another one of these growing pains where even though you probably will never be healed 100%, it'll be better on the other end of that pain. Going with healing, I feel like another life lesson that I learned and that has helped me so much is to find out what true self-care means for you and practice it regularly. As said, I had a job where I was working a lot and never taking any care of myself. And when I had time, I had no idea what was feeling good for me anymore. I had no idea what self-care looked like for me. And so in the past couple of years, I made self-care a big priority. And now I know that for me, self-care can be to spin a record and dance through the room and just daydream. For me, self-care can mean to just take a full day thrifting, going through little antique shops and having a look around. Self-care for me can be to spend quality time with the people I love. But I'm also a very introverted person, so self-care is also journaling, it is spending time on my own. Self-care for me is to sometimes cancel on plans with people that I love just because I know it's too much for me in that situation. And by finding out what self-care really meant to me, I definitely got a lot happier and way more relaxed in life. Number 16, don't wait for others to experience life. When I tell you how often people have told me that they wanted to do this in their life or that, but they never found someone who would do it with them, and I could never really relate to that, that is when I understood how important this life lesson is and how grateful I can be that I sort of never had to learn this the hard way, because it's something that came pretty natural to me, but that I got to really admire over the past couple of years. Basically, if you want to do something, if you want to experience something, if you want to change a part of your life, if you want to experience life, don't wait for others to do it with you. Just don't. I have gone on a lot of vacations on my own. It was beautiful. I don't need anyone else to do things with me. Do I love that? Yes. I think it's beautiful to spend time with other people doing things that I love. But if I want to experience something, if I want to go on a vacation and no one has time or no one is around, I can go by myself. And I will probably meet people there. And I feel like the most beautiful story that kind of falls under that topic is that I had a really bad breakup in 2019. And when I say bad breakup, it wasn't like a breakup where it got really dirty or really grim or anything, but it was a breakup where we both still were very attached to each other, and we kind of broke up because we couldn't make it work, because we were both in the movie industry. We couldn't find time to see each other, and it was just heartbreaking to having to say goodbye so many times. And I felt like we both knew that we couldn't say goodbye to each other one more time. It would just break us, and so we broke up. And I was feeling horrible. And so that night I booked a train to go to Budapest and find out about my family's history in Hungary. It was incredible. It was a beautiful trip. The moment that I got on that train, the pain was gone. It was so beautiful, and something magical happened, because while I stayed in a very cheap rundown hostel, I met a girl and we got along really well. We spent a couple of days together, exchanged numbers, and she was from New York. And when I moved to New York, 1.5 years later, I already knew someone there. I already had a friend there, and I wouldn't have had that friend if I wouldn't have experienced life on my own before that. This next one sounds like a cheap slogan, but it's to make your dreams happen. And I truly believe in that. If there's anything that you want to do, do it. If you want to be a musician, pick up an instrument today and do it. If you want to be an artist, create art and just do it. No one's gonna stop you. Make your dreams happen. You are the one who's in charge of your life, and you can make all of your dreams happen. Number 19, your opinion is the only one that matters. And I truly mean that. I feel like a lot of the time you get so many opinions from different people on everything, and it all doesn't matter, because in the end, you are you. And it is all about what you think about yourself. At the end of the day, you're not going to be happy because you think everyone has a great opinion of you. And let's be honest, you will probably not be liked by everyone either ways. So your opinion is the only one that matters. And if you think what you're doing is right, then it probably is. And if there's something you want to do and other people tell you not to, but you truly believe that it is right, don't listen to their opinions, because it's not their life, it's yours. So the only opinion that matters in the end is yours. This next one is a really lighthearted one, and it is to learn something new every now and then. I feel like life is about learning, so every now and then I just try to pick up something new. It might be a new skill, something new on the sewing machine, trying a new arts project I've never done before, learning to play a new song on the guitar, and it always helps me feel really accomplished, and it's always a lot of fun. So I would recommend you to step out of your comfort zone and try something new every now and then. Number 22, money can't buy you happiness. This is a life lesson that is so important to me because I had jobs before where I made a lot of money, had a lot of money, and I had times in my life where I didn't make any money and was really broke. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my happiness did never depend on the money. There are so many things far more important than money. Like, don't get me wrong, I am very grateful that I am in a position where I make enough money to support myself, where I can live in a house and have food and everything. I know that not everyone has the possibility to do that, and I think it's heartbreaking that there are people out there who literally fight for their life every single day. But money doesn't bring your happiness. You could have all the things that you want and still be the saddest person on this planet, because I feel like in the end, what makes you happy in life is never materialistic. This is the last life lesson coming from a song, and it is by the Rolling Stones again. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you will find you get what you need. And that is so important to me because I have wanted so many things in life before. Not talking about like materialistic things, but just goals that I wanted to reach and things that I really wanted to do. And sometimes you cannot get what you want. Sometimes you might apply for a house or an apartment that you would love to live in and you can really see yourself living in there, and they choose someone else. There are simply things that you can't affect. And I feel like understanding that you can't always get what you want, but in the end, you will get what you need. Because if you think about it, I'm sure everyone remembers moments in life where you figured you really wanted something and then it didn't work out, but the fact that it didn't work out the best for you because it opened a new way. And the final one is the one that I tell myself every single day, and the one that I would love for you to tell yourself every single day, and that is that you deserve the world. And I truly mean that. You deserve everything and anything. Don't ever feel like something that happened in your life was undeserved by you, because you deserve everything. You deserve love, you deserve a beautiful life, you simply deserve the world. So that's it for today's video. It was a very personal one, but I hope that maybe there are some life lessons that you found interesting. Maybe there are some things that you can reflect upon with your own life. If you have any further life lessons that you learned or advice, leave them in the comments below, especially if there's song lines. I would love to hear about that. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in today and watching this video. Thank you for spending time with me today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye everybody.